Boat projects. You'd think it would be just as simple as you've got it on the list, you start doing it, you get it done, and you move on. If only that's the way it worked. Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and welcome to the Boat Galley Podcast. I'm sharing another one of those if you give a mouse a cookie moments that we had earlier this season on Mischief. Today's episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by MantisMarine.com, maker of the Mantis Anchor, now available in models with and without a roll bar. Proven to set reliably in the most challenging bottoms, the Mantis Anchor digs like no other, making anchoring safer and boating more enjoyable. Mantis Marine brings to market practical, durable, and affordable marine products, including anchoring gear, scuba diving accessories, a rechargeable waterproof headlamp for hands-free lighting, and solar charging navigation light. Visit MantisMarine.com and see for yourself. Luckily, anchoring generally is you got it on the to-do list, you tick it off, and you move on with your day. One of the things that we grapple with on Mischief, despite the fact that she's exactly the same kind of boat as Calypso, is how different the two of them are, especially the storage spaces. And when I first provisioned the boat, Mischief, I started stowing things in the main salon the way I've done for the past 30 years on Calypso. The starboard settee is the easiest to access, followed by the aft port side. The general idea is that cans go starboard, pasta and beans also starboard in the middle, teas and hot chocolate starboard forward, and then I got stuck. Because on Mischief, there are only 2 openings on each side under the settee, and not 3. Secondly, the starboard side settee on Mischief is a whole lot narrower than it is on Calypso. Third, the starboard cushion disappears into the footwell on Mischief, and there isn't a footwell on Calypso. And in fact, the footwell on Mischief is where I stow excess bedding. So getting to the forward end of the starboard side is not exactly simple, as opposed to on Calypso, where it's really easy to get to. But I didn't really have time to think about the storage when we got ready to shove off in November. Generally, I put things in the general categories and essentially just wound up shoving stuff any place they'd fit. This meant that as I went looking for certain ingredients, I was relying a whole lot on my memory, as well as the hastily scribbled inventory list in my notebook that I had done, rather than the muscle memory that I had from years on Calypso. Within the first month of our cruise on Mischief, though, I spent a whole lot of time thinking about storage and rating each locker as to ease of access. One of the things that I've learned, maybe you might call it the hard way, is that you should keep the things that you use frequently in the easiest spots to get to. So I spent a lot of time rating storage lockers. And once I had this all figured out, I wanted to think about how I would empty out all the lockers and then restash according to the new Mischief-centered plan. As a side note, it's going to be really weird to be back on Calypso and rethinking the storage again after we've been used to it being on Mischief. But, okay, now we needed to run the grounding strap for the sideband. What? Well, we got stuck at Green Turtle Key in the Abacos for what felt like forever due to very high winds. And part of our preparation for those high winds was digging out the secondary anchor and rode so that we could set a second anchor to help hold us in place so we didn't go anywhere when the wind shifted. And the secondary rode was buried in the lazarette, which meant we needed to totally empty that space out to get at it. And one of the projects that we hadn't done yet on Mischief before we left was to run the copper grounding strap for the single sideband radio, which is one of the ways that we get weather reports via email if we don't have a good SIM card or our cell phone doesn't have any service. So since we had to empty the lazarette out anyway, we might as well run the copper grounding strap for the sideband. And the copper strap needed to be run through the engine space, along the water tank, up into the locker under the sink, and into the portside settee storage space. So at least half of the provisions in the portside settee would have to come out. So while we were taking everything out to access every space, I might as well take care of the re-storage project, which is how secondary anchor road led to totally redoing the storage for provisions on Mischief. Give a mouse a cookie indeed. Thank goodness we remembered to take out the secondary anchor road. I can't wait to share an anchorage with you sometime, whether it's on Mischief or Calypso, and we get a chance to toast to our incredible good fortune at being able to live this amazing lifestyle, even though sometimes you might feel like you're in some kind of a bizarre comedy show. Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. We love hearing from our listeners. We love it when you let us know that something that we have shared has made a difference for you, because the Boat Galley is all about making boat life better. Have the most spectacular week.